Good morning. Welcome to another session of Alternative TV. I'm Vandelia Brown
I'm Tari Thompson.
of Cummings Co Realtors. Today we're here with the loan officer just to talk about some of the programs that we have in Baltimore City and Maryland. Before we jump into the programs, we're going to have him introduce himself and tell us about your role as a loan officer and how you can help us navigate the financing options.
Yep, absolutely. So my name is Koslosky. I'm with Shore United Bank. I'm a mortgage banker here. My role here is to assist borrowers in obtaining financing. So they'll start out with assisting in pre-approval, qualifying, and then letting them know of assistance programs that are going to be available to them.
Okay. Why is it important for buyers, especially first-time home buyers, to ask about local and state financing programs early in the process?
Well, the reason you want to start prior to actually finding a home or getting into a home is because a lot of programs have pre-required education courses that can be needed, ensuring that you meet eligibility requirements, making sure that the lender or banker that you're working with offers these programs, because not everybody does. So getting all those ducks in a row prior to actually getting out and searching for homes is going to be critical in accessing a lot of these options.
Okay, that's good. What special financing assistance programs are available, particularly for buyers purchasing in Baltimore City?
Baltimore City has about, through the Live Baltimore program, there's about 10 different options, just Baltimore City focused. So properties within the Baltimore City lines, there's about 10 different programs that are going to range from $5,000 assistance grants all the way up to $20,000 in some cases plus for Baltimore City.
What typically qualifies people for these programs? Do they have to be first-time home buyers? Can they be repeat buyers? Do they have to have a certain profession?
They're all very different. So yes, in some cases, some programs are restricted to a first-time only home buyer, meaning that somebody that hasn't owned a home in the last 3 years. Other programs will allow for repeat home buyers. Some will even allow you to retain another property in purchasing that next home. So it's going to vary substantially based on the program that's going to be utilized.
So one question I had is, a first-time buyer, is it actually somebody that bought a home, or can they qualify for a first-time buyer if they inherited a home?
If they inherited a home, anything on title. If you were on title to a property within the last 3 years, you're no longer considered a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's all based off title. You don't have to have a mortgage. You can inherit a home. If your parents added you to title, you're no longer a first-time home buyer if
Okay.
it's within that 3-year window.
Okay.
Through most programs we use.
Okay, that's good to know. What type of assistance programs do Baltimore City programs usually offer? Down payment help, closing costs, interest rate benefits, anything like that?
Yeah, typically they'll have grant options that are going to be forgivable over a period of time. They can be utilized towards your down payment. They can be utilized towards your closing costs. Combination of the two. So they spread pretty wide in terms of what their options are and how they're applied.
Okay. Are there neighborhood or property specific programs that we should know about when purchasing in the city?
Yeah, a lot of them are going to be geographically restricted to certain neighborhoods or communities where they're trying to focus on, rejuvenating those communities. So some programs are going to be available anywhere within the city lines. Some are going to be restricted just to certain pockets or areas within Baltimore City.
Okay, very good. So what financing programs are available across the state of Maryland for home buyers?
So there's several different options that are going to cover, you're looking at city programs we talked about, specific to area. There's going to be state assistance programs through the Maryland Mortgage Program, which covers anywhere within the state of Maryland. And then there's also federally funded grant programs that can cover anywhere within the state as well. So in some cases you can even layer up some of these programs together.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So how do Maryland statewide programs differ from the city-specific programs?
The Maryland Mortgage Program itself are not forgivable grants, so these monies aren't forgiven typically, outside of a few small options that they offer. But the typical one that most people are going to use are going to be deferred assistance loans, meaning that they're not forgiven over a period of time.
Okay.
They're a silent second mortgage that requires no repayment until you no longer occupy the home, you refinance the home, after you sell the home, or after the mortgage is paid in full. Then those monies are required to be paid back.
Okay.
Whereas grants are forgiven over either immediately or over a period of time, 5-10 years.
Okay, very good. So can buyers combine the state programs with other assistance or loan types?
Yeah, absolutely. You can layer up a Baltimore City program with a federally funded grant. You can layer it with state funds. You can, in some cases, utilize all three. I would say be leery about combined loan to value restrictions. So in some cases, your mortgage plus all your assistance programs can't exceed a certain amount of the total
Oh,
home's value.
okay,
So
okay.
there is going to be restrictions with that to some extent.
Okay. So what are the most common eligibility factors that buyers should be aware of, like income, credit, purchase price, or location?
Yeah, I think all that's relatively, goes hand in hand. Qualifying, you're looking at a few variables. Credit score. There's going to be two different stages in qualifying. Qualifying for the loan through the bank or lender you're using first and foremost.
Okay.
And then meeting the requirements for the grants and assistance loans. So there's two stages, but I'd say try to keep, credit score and income are going to be two big ones to focus on. You got 2-year consistent income, and is your credit relatively decent?
Okay. Are these programs only for first-time home buyers or repeat buyers qualify as well? We sort of touched on
Depends.
that.
It depends on the program. Like I said, they're all very different, which is why it's tough to, as like a buyer or individual yourself, thinking of what can I do or how can I qualify. It's always kind of tough to navigate those waters because every program varies and they change from year to year as well. So.
And again, that's why it's so important for them to meet with the lender to get all the specifics.
We lay it all out. We tell you what your options are. You have, X, Y, and Z available, and then choice is yours.
Okay. At what point in the home buying process should people start asking about these programs?
If immediately, I mean, usually, so like generally, like depending, again, all very specific to who you work with, but in terms of how we operate is when someone comes to me and they decide they want to purchase a home, when we work at qualifying them, step one is can we get you qualified for a mortgage? Step two is what options are available to you. So your lender should be presenting you with all available options. That would include assistance programs.
What documentation or preparation steps should buyers take to determine eligibility sooner rather than later?
Start sooner. The sooner you start, the better qualified you're going to be and the more options you're going to have available. If you don't want to buy a home until next year, you don't want to wait until next year necessarily. You kind of want to start now. That way you know what your options are, you know what you need to prepare for. If there's work that needs to be done, you have time to do that. If you want to buy in 2027 and you wait until 2027, you find out you have maybe some credit repair issues or something else that might need to be fine-tuned a bit. Now you're going to set that timeline back to maybe late 2027 or even 2028. Whereas if you start now, you'll be ready by the time that comes.
Okay. So how do these programs impact the monthly payment or long-term affordability?
Depending on the program, some programs do have preset interest rates that are going to correlate with the amount of money that you're getting. State-specific, especially Maryland Mortgage Program has, I guess, probably about 12 or 13 different program options to choose from, depending on which option you utilize, whether you're a first-time home buyer, whether you're a repeat home buyer, and how much money you get is going to determine what the rate will be. So you're not going to get like a bank or lender's rate. The program correlates and dictates the interest rate, in which cases can be more than what it would be on, the other side.
Okay. So can you share a recent example where a buyer was really surprised when they learned they qualified for a special program?
Yeah, I mean, usually, generally, I got monthly examples where, we talk with people that are looking to buy a home. A lot of people's biggest restrictions or restraints in terms of like their mentality and how I can purchase is a lot of people have this wall built up that I need a lot of money to buy a house, and that's really not the truth in most cases. A lot of these programs can cover, in whole the required down payment and even a big portion of the closing costs. So a lot of times someone might come in thinking that they need, $20,000 to buy a home, and the reality is by the time they get to the closing table, they got $1,000 or in some case $0 actual cash to close, depending on what
amazing.
programs you utilize. So
Okay.
don't let the out-of-pocket expense be your barrier you build up to kind of stop that process from beginning.
Right.
Options are out there. Homes can be purchased with very little out-of-pocket expense.
Okay.
Is there any other advice you would give buyers who assume that they won't qualify and would probably never ask?
Yeah, just start. If you want to buy a home, just talk to a lender and start that process. And the only way to find out the truth, you can look at Credit Karma, you can calculate your income, you can think of all these hypothetical scenarios that could either make you a home buyer or prevent you from being one. But until you actually talk to a professional, you're really just spinning on a wheel. You're just moving on a treadmill at that point. You're not gaining any traction. Talk to somebody, whether it's good news, whether it's bad news. At least you know what your challenges are and what your obstacles are, and you can kind of navigate through that. And a good mortgage lender or banker will, help you, navigate those waters.
So if buyers should take away just one thing from today's conversation about special financing programs, what should it be?
If something to take away would be just to start the process. If you want to buy a home, get that process started. Talk to your real estate agent, talk to your lender, get the ball rolling and, you know, find out what type of monies are available for you. In some cases, like I said, that money could be as little as zero out of pocket, so.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chad. This was great, because we encounter buyers all the time that are like, I'm not ready, or I don't have enough money, or
Yeah.
I don't think
There's
I
always
qualify.
these objections that people have in their mind, because some people just think that purchasing a home is such a, and it is a large milestone to accomplish, but it can be, you know,
It's not as much,
accessed
but-
very easily
Yeah.
if you know, done properly, so.
So thank you so much for visiting Alternative TV today. We got some great information from Chad. So if you are thinking that you're ready to purchase a home, give us a call or subscribe, and we'll reach out to you and we'll connect you with Chad, and you can get started. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.